Welcome to Man in America, a voice of reason in a world gone mad. I'm your host, Seth Holhouse. So, huge financial earthquakes this week. We saw the stock market hammered as Trump announced his Liberation Day, right? They announced the massive tariffs going on, and there's been a huge reaction. A lot of stocks plummeting like we haven't seen in quite some time, and there's been a lot of discussion about what's going to happen next week, the following week. There was even a video, which I'll play in today's show, that Trump shared on Truth Social that's been really making its rounds since then, with someone's analogy of why he believes Trump is intentionally crashing the stock market by at least 20%. And so there's a lot of people that are believing and saying, look, Trump's sharing this. He's telling us what he's doing. Expect the market to continue to come down. But we've also seen silver and gold dropped, not huge, not like the stock market, but they still came down. Silver's at just below 30. Gold's just above 3,000 an ounce. And there's a lot to consider here, a lot to make sense of here. But where my mind goes with this is, what's the bigger picture? Because over the past couple of months, we saw a massive amount of gold and silver being repatriated into the United States. We have discussion of an audit of Fort Knox, a lot of speculation about revaluation of gold. If you saw my interview or heard my interview with David Jensen talking about the LBMA breaking and the banking cartel losing their ability to keep suppressing the price of gold and silver. So there's so many different things that are happening all at once here. And what I love doing is trying to see, what are the patterns? What is the string that's threading everything together? And what I believe personally, and same as my guest, John Perez, who I know you all love, is that I think that we're entering into some sort of massive monetary reset. The current system is on its last leg. The bubble is blown up as big as it can get, and there's something very significant that's happening. And so John and I will be kind of going into historical data, price charts, some speculation, as you'd hope, to try and make sense of what's happening. But what I see and what you'll see in this video and the conclusion of is that I do believe we're entering into some sort of golden age. That's for sure. But this is going to be a major financial shift. And it's not going to be easy in the short term, but it'll make sense in the long term. So this is going to be a fun, high energy interview, as you'd expect when John and I get together. We just have a blast. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you learn from it. If you do enjoy it, please do me a favor and share it with your friends, your family, anybody else, because we have to get this information out to more people so that not everyone is stuck without a chair when the music stops. And again, thank you for being here. And just a quick reminder that every show that I do is done as a podcast as well. So if you like to listen as well as watch, or vice versa, if you want a podcast you can throw on while you're driving or doing chores, just go to your favorite podcast app, search for Man in America, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to really make my day, leave me a review on there, especially Apple Podcasts. Those reviews really count in helping us to reach more people. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you get a chance to give a review, I'll love you for it. All right, please enjoy the interview with John Perez. Mr. John Perez, man, I always love having you on. We have such fun discussions. Thank you so much for being here today.
Well, so nice to be back. I always love being here. Yesterday, I was reminded, my group, someone let me know, because John, you talked about the gold to Dow ratio 2 years ago with Seth Holhouse on a real estate video you did. I talked about $10,000 gold and $15,000 gold matched 1-to-1 with the Dow Jones, which means the Dow Jones goes down to 15,000, gold goes up to 15,000. And here we are in the midst of a crash that's starting to look little more like 1929 and could be 1987 next week if they continue on this pace. Nice to be back, though.
No, there's so much to be to discuss. So there's I'm going to kind of set the stage for our discussion. So first off, I've got just a quick overview of where we ended up at the end of the week, or on Friday. Dow drops 2,200 points Friday. S&P 500 loses 10% in 2 days as Trump's tariff rout deepens. So we saw major shift in the stock market here. Some of the biggest drops we've seen in quite some time. But there's a few things that, like, I don't want to just focus on, what's happening with the stock market. I want to look at, okay, what are the bigger things going on here? And I want to go back in time to last fall, where Scott Bessent, right, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, this is a little 1-minute interview with him. This is from, again, last fall, so a little bit less than a year ago. Listen to this, because what he's telling us here, what I believe, is that something big is coming. So I'll play this really quickly. It's about a minute long.
I think as an economic historian and someone who's been in markets for 40 years, I actually think I'm starting to look like it now. I think we're also at a unique moment geopolitically, and I could see in the next few years that we are going to have some kind of a grand global economic reordering. There's something on the equivalent of a new Bretton Woods, or if you want to go back, like something back to the steel agreements or the Treaty of Versailles. There's a very good chance that we are going to have to have that over the next 4 years, and I'd like to be a part of it. I've studied this. I think it's kind of a unique skill set. I think.
So him saying that in the next few years, we're going to have some kind of grand economic reordering, something equivalent to a new Bretton Woods, right? And this is, okay, this isn't just some rogue trader talking here, right? I mean, this is the Secretary of the Treasury, okay?
And that was before he was the Secretary of the Treasury.
Exactly. So this guy, there's a lot going on here, but I want to play another video here. This is very interesting. So this was a video that actually, here's a post that says, Donald Trump just reposted posted the following video on Truth Social. This repost is an official confirmation that he agrees with the theory below, which is to crash the stock market in order to lower bond yields. The video quite literally starts off with why Donald Trump is crashing the stock market and mentions that Trump is playing 4D chess. So one thing I will say, though, is that in my opinion, just because Trump posts something, it doesn't mean that he agrees with everything about that. There's some people that they take that as like the Bible. Like if Trump posts it, it means that he's read the whole thing. He agrees with every bit of it. This guy's so prolific. He's so busy. He might see something that makes sense to him. He might repost it. However, when we watch this, and this is, even the title you see here, Trump is purposefully crashing the market. There's something going on here. So I'll play this. This is about about a minute and 6 seconds. So let's play this, and this will allow us to jump into our discussion. You go ahead.
Okay. Did Trump repost this?
He did. Trump shared this exact video.
I saw this video
on Truth Social. And that's why there's a lot of discussion. I'm seeing this video everywhere. So let's watch this really quickly.
Trump is crashing the stock market by 20% this month, but he's doing it on purpose. And this is why Warren Buffett just said Trump is making the best economic moves he's seen in over 50 years. Now, here's the secret game he's playing, and it could make you rich. So why is he doing this? To push cash into treasuries, which forces the Fed to slash interest rates in May, and those lower rates give the Fed the ability to refinance trillions of debt very inexpensively. It also weakens the dollar and drops mortgage rates. Now, it's a wild chess move, but it's working. Now, you're probably wondering, what about his tariffs? Well, I'll tell you, it's a genius play. It actually forces companies to build here to dodge them. It also forces farmers to sell more of their products here in the US to bring grocery prices way down. We've already seen this with eggs. Now, remember, 94% of all stocks are owned only by 8% of Americans. So Trump, he's taking from the rich short term and handing it to the middle class through lower prices.
So,
love that video.
There's a lot going on there.
I love that video.
So John, what's your perception of what's going on? Because what I'm seeing is that I think even 4D chess doesn't describe the complexity of what's going on here. So What is your take?
Well, I've been preparing for this for, our stock club has been preparing for this for 3 years. So it's not like we're just sitting here watching, we're in the markets here. We knew this was coming. We prepared for it big time, and we're watching this unfold here. And I'm in agreement with this video. When I saw this video, I said, who did this here? I go, I'm in total Trump wants that dollar to go down. In fact, a lot of people who say the US dollar is gone, it's going to crash, won't be here. So wrong. The dollar will be the future global reserve currency backed by gold. the 40-year Treasury, Judy Shelton, July 4th. Trump has got to drag it down. Like the guy said, he's going to take from the rich and give to the poor. Not necessarily, though, not the poor, the working man, the man on Main Street. Okay. So you've got all this money coming out of Wall Street, and it is going to force production going on here. But in my opinion here, what I see is this, and what I've been expecting for a while. Trump's going to drive the dollar down. Now, let's give an example of how he's going to do this. Recall, I started my group in the fourth quarter of 2021. It was getting ready for the special military operation with Russia. When the military operation started, they banned the use of the ruble. They just basically crashed the market, shorted the ruble, and the ruble just got destroyed. I think down 70%. It was going down, and everyone was writing off Russia. And then, people were pulling out of Russia, and they tried to crush Russia. Down. And what happened? Vladimir Putin comes in there. What does he do? He comes in there and he puts gold, boom, right under the ruble. Once he put that heavy metal, that precious metal under the ruble, what bounced and went straight back up, was one of the best performing currencies of 2022. And Russia did not suffer from the sanctions. In fact, the current tariff war, Russia's on the sidelines saying, hey, look, you've already sanctioned us. We don't do business with the United States. So have fun with your tariffs because they're not affecting Russia. But the point I'm trying to make here is this. I believe Trump's going to do the same thing. He's going to drive the dollar down. We have treasury yields, just like he said, treasury yields going down. Housing is taking a nosedive right now. How do you bump it? What did Bush do after 9/11? He drove the interest rates down for 3 or 4 years. More loans came in. Housing went back up, got a support bump there. The last thing you want is doing a tariff war and then having people get thrown out in the street, losing their houses. Bring down the rates, make money cheap again. Oil is down $6, $8, $7 a barrel. Now, oh my gosh, stock market's going down. Well, gas is going down. You got more money in your pocket here. Rumors of the IRS going away, bring in the tariff money and offset the IRS. The scenario there is to bring in the ERS, the revenues from the tariffs. If Trump, this is a very difficult situation where Trump is doing something and there's going to be pain. We feel it in our 401ks. We can see it. But if Trump comes in and reduces the tax burdens on the IRS using the revenues from the ERS, brings down the treasury loans, people will start buying houses again. Prices are going to come down, but they need to come down because they were over. It's a bubble anyway from all the hedge funds buying all the homes here. But back to the dollar down. Trump, it is in Trump's interest to bring it down. But what do you think he's going to do when the dollar goes down? Let's call up Elon. Let's do a live feed and see how much gold is in that Federal Reserve. So is the gold there? Is it not there? Bring it all the way down, open up the vault, reset the price of gold, and then bounce the dollar back up here. That's what I see coming up here. It sounds crazy, but Trump cannot let that stock market go down. The dollar's going to get some support from gold, the resetting the Fort Knox deal, because it's coming pretty soon here. Elon's going to do it. And then we got Judy Shelton talking about July 4th, resetting the 40-year treasury to gold. Now, what else is going to happen here? Shorting will be banned. And I'll tell you, in our group, we're all in. Our stocks in the mining sector are being shorted like twice as much as DJT stock. There is a RICO lawsuit ongoing between DJT versus the shorters, who we know they are, Virtue Financial, Citadel. They're not going to talk about it. It's like a grand jury. Trump, now we have the scenario where the stock market's crashing, your 401k is getting wiped out, and the people are saying, stop the bleeding. It's like, well, they're shorting the stock. They're going to ban shorting. And I wouldn't be surprised if it came in an executive order. When they do that, that's going to launch many gold and silver mining stocks, which are under lawsuit, $1 trillion lawsuits right now to stop the shorting here. All these other stories on shorting here. So we have a lot going on. I just threw a lot of stuff out you there. I still believe that Trump's going to push the dollar down, lower the treasury yields, get more mortgages coming down here, cheaper money for the average, for Main Street guys. Wall Street's getting wiped out because they're losing their margins. They're getting margin called. They're selling off all their assets. Company valuations are coming down because they're ridiculously overpriced in the stock market, to where in the gold mining stock market, the juniors and the exploration market, they're all undervalued. Why? Manipulation, something I call the RDS short. A lot of people don't know this, and I'm one of the few people that will tell you this. The entire mining sector has been shorted by the deep state since 2008, 2009. And we'll see that very soon when they outlaw shorting, which they will, because everyone's going to be in the street saying, Trump, you're killing us. And it's like, well, it's not me. It's these guys shorting. Well, who? Well, Citadel's been in the news, Virtue Financial, do some research. It's all out there. That's going to change. And I'm giving you a dynamic live picture here right now here. But I believe that Trump is going to mimic the same thing Russia did. Let it come down, boom, back it with gold, bring it back up. And the whole story about the US dollar crashing and going away will vanish. And what did Trump say about the dollar? We cannot lose global reserve currency. It will be the equivalent of losing World War III, which means what? Which really the warning is we will go to war to hold this stock up here. And everyone who thinks the dollar is going away will be wrong, like they usually are. And gold's going to be king again because in the executive order he put out last week regarding critical minerals being a national security, it says right there in the first paragraph, this is the golden era. So he signaled everything. The truth is, it's almost clear as day. And that video you put up, I think is just right on the money. In fact, I don't think that video was just randomly put up. Somebody here has done their homework and knows a little bit about the script of what they're doing here, because this is very well scripted. And we have to remember this. What did Trump's Treasury Secretary do while he was in office with Trump? He's a movie director. What did he do? He went into Fort Knox and took pictures of all the gold in Fort Knox and said the gold was there. Was he lying? I don't think so. And now we got Besant coming in there, who I love Besant. My biggest positions in gold. And by the way, my prior guy, Mnuchin, shows pictures of the gold in there. Now we just need Elon to go down there with a live camera and Doji and say, hey, by the way, the gold is here, but it's priced at $42 an ounce. Let's reset it. When do we reset it here? As the dollar's going down, yeah, let's reset it and put it under there. And then bam, because Trump is going to tokenize all the gold. He's going to tokenize all the underground commodity assets across the country. And he's going to make a giant sovereign wealth fund. And he's going to tokenize the assets, and he's going to leverage that. And that's why he says, we're going to make America wealthy again, because that's going to be the asset in the ground that helps back the dollar. Because Basel III, BIS Basel III, if you're a bank, you're going to have a certain amount of gold to loan out your assets out there. You can't be writing loans without gold backing it. Trump is going to mimic the same thing with the United States and say, we have assets, we've tokenized it, we have gold, the dollar is good, the U.S. Treasury is backed by the 40-year unit, and we're going to be the world global currency again, but this time backed by real assets and gold. That's what I see coming. We're pumped up here. Market crash, bring it down. I hope they bring that Dow down to 20,000 points, reset gold at 20,000 or 15,000. Either way, we win no matter what here. We planned on this. We prepared for it. But that video you put on there, right on the money. So I just fire hose all this information here. But we were absolutely, ready for this.
So I want to pull up a tweet. This is from Ben Rickert. This is a parody account. You remember Ben Rickert? He was the Brad Pitt played his character in The Big Short. He was the mentor. So
yes,
this is a parody account of someone that I really understands finance. So this is a tweet from February 10th. He says the United States stands at the brink of the most profound monetary overhaul since the 70s. Evidence suggests federal authorities are methodically laying the groundwork for a managed devaluation of the dollar, coordinating tools such as gold reserves, trade barriers, and strategic asset stockpiling to orchestrate a comprehensive financial reset. This calculated shift signals the reemergence of a re-engineered economic framework poised to redefine global monetary dynamics. And there's a lot within that, but I couldn't agree more. But one thing I want to point out, just from as I've kind of understand this, is that when the dollar became the global reserve currency, there's something called the Tiffin dilemma. You've heard the term the Tiffin dilemma? I think we talked about it on one of our previous shows.
Yes, vaguely, but I remember
basically,
talking about
as I understand it, is that when a currency is the global reserve currency, it represents a strong dilemma, because you want to have a strong currency to be able to export all this currency, but with a fiat currency, you end up undercutting basically your own nation, right? Because if we have to export this currency and keep it strong, it actually hurts that nation's ability to export products. And there's a lot much more complicated aspects to it. But fundamentally, though, what I'm understanding from this is that you think about, okay, why would Trump devalue the dollar, right? Well, okay, so for one, is that why is it that everything we own is made in China? Well, because they have artificially manipulated their currency, especially their currency that's used externally outside their country, right? They've manipulated to keep their currency so low that their manufacturing is just so cheap. I mean, you can say, take this mouse on my desk here. If you wanted to make this in America, it might cost you $10 to make it in America, but it costs you $1 to make it in China. It's not because it's just slave labor over there. Of course, there is slave labor, but it's because there's unfair currency balances. And so, are you looking to do something better for your health? Look no further than Kimchi One from Brightcore Nutrition. Kimchi One packs all the fermented nutrition of kimchi in convenient capsules, arming your gut with over 900 unique strains of probiotics supporting gut flora and digestion. I highly recommend this product because all health starts in the gut. So, putting the right fermented superfood in your gut improves every aspect of your health: your skin, your hair, your mental performance, even your beard. Kimchi has even shown to reduce your risk of obesity and promote smaller waistlines. Kimchi One is all natural, made in the USA, and non GMO. Today, you can get an exclusive offer just for my viewers: 25% off with the code MANINAMERICA by going to mybrightcore.com/MANINAmerica, or call my friends at Brightcore for up to 50% off your order and free shipping. Give them a call now at 888-575-6488, and their educated staff will make sure that Kimchi One is right for you. Again, that's 888-575-6488 with promo code MANINAmerica. As I understand it, Trump, part of bringing, manufacturing back to America and making us more competitive as an export nation is he has to devalue the dollar, because when the dollar is strong, no one wants to buy our products because our products are too expensive. And so that's part of it, is weakening the dollar, and kind of resetting things. But it's also, as I understand it, which I think this is what that video that I played was pointing out about Trump, is that our nation is trillions and trillions in debt, right? 37 trillion dollars in debt. So by hyperinflating or weakening the dollar, that debt, you can inflate away that debt. And so if he can cause, almost in a sense, cause kind of a mini hyperinflation, what it does is it makes that debt cheaper and cheaper and cheaper as the dollar becomes less and less. So $36 trillion in debt becomes 20 trillion, becomes $10 trillion in debt, right? So it's a way of inflating away the debt. But then, as you've mentioned, once that gets inflated away enough, then I think what it would be, you refinance the debt, right? So once that debt has been inflated away, you refinance, you lock that debt in at a new rate. And then once you hit that rock bottom, then you bring in, like what you mentioned with the ruble, then that's when you see this revaluation. So I remember, over the past couple of months, everyone's been talking about, they're going to reevaluate gold. They're going to put the new price target, or, new price valuation on gold. They're going to, back the dollar by gold. And people are wondering, when's it going to happen? But, what I'm seeing here is that is part of the step. But before you do that, before you revalue the gold, you have to collapse the dollar. And go along with that comes collapsing of the markets and a lot of these, the housing market, the real estate, broader commercial residential real estate, the stock market. So Trump sharing a video that says that Trump is strategically crashing the market by 20%, it actually makes sense. And he's even talked about it, not just him, but some of his kind of circle around, especially his more financial literate people, have talked about how there's going to be short-term pain. Right. And this is the thing, is that it's like you take someone that's been drinking Slurpees and eating Doritos all their life. You want to get them healthy again. Well, it's going to suck for the first year of getting them healthy. Once they start detoxing all those chemicals and all that bad stuff, they'll start feeling a little better. But that's what I see happening here, is that there's going to be short-term pain. It's intentional. The markets are going to continue to come down. People that have their money sitting in a 401k, IRA, wherever. Reminds me of my dad, growing up, during the dot-com crash. My dad was working for AT&T. He had all of his money sitting in his 401k with AT&T. I remember every day my parents talking about it, my mom saying, Ed, the market's down another 5%, and we saw his entire 401k disappear, because that's the thing, is that people have all their assets sitting in the dollar. this is just what's going on right now. I mean, what do you think about all that?
I agree with 100% of everything you said, and I still can't get over the fact that Trump sent out that video, which is a clear signal that it's like, well, it's kind of like when Trump tweeted out, silver has been money throughout all of history. Trump also said he never says the word silver. He'll never say the word silver. He will in the future. That will be like releasing the Kraken when Trump talks about silver. Now, in agreement with you 100%. And what you just said, and also with the video that Trump put out there, I had no idea did that. I mean, really, this tells me Trump is truly a comedian. Why? Because he says, I'm not looking at the stock market. I'm not worried about it. Well, when he says that, everyone at home is like, well, I'm looking at my 401k. I'm losing everything. So there's a disconnect there. Trump has to fill that gap in there. And that's where I think shorting is going to be used as the crash of the market is going to be used to put shorting on the limelight, so they can basically say, hey, shorting, everyone take a look at shorting here. But I'm in agreement. This is obviously a staged operation. Scott Bessent, let's talk about him for a moment. Scott Bessent worked with Soros in I believe the quantum fund, not the quantum, but he worked with Soros during the time when, what did Soros do? And people say, oh my gosh, he worked with Soros. It's like, that's not necessarily a bad thing, my friend. There is salvation, in this world, in this lifetime. There is salvation. People can come to Jesus and do the right thing. Well, who has greater experience at crashing a currency and making $1 billion off it? Scott Bessent. His biggest position, gold. If Bessent was on the other side, he'd say it's a good time to sell gold. You see these guys that come on mainstream media. They'll say it's a good time to sell gold. It's a good time to sell gold. It's good. It's like, no, it's like, stop. What's his name? Used to say it all the time. Not Kramer, his friend, Larry Kudlow. During the last crash, gold was at 650, 680, 700. It's a good time to sell gold. I'm like, what is this guy talking about? Well, he's on the other side. Bessent, gold is my biggest position. So you got Mnuchin at Fort Knox. Bessent, gold is my biggest position. But Bessent's background was Soros. I believe he was there when they crashed the pound, and that's where Soros made billions. Of course, what guy is better to bring in with that kind of experience but Scott Bessent? But he's holding gold. When he was very clear about that, that tells you everything. Say, this guy literally, what's my book? People see it, people online, they're selling something. Well, he's pumping his book. Well, he pumped his book. It's gold. You got Bessent gold, Judy Shelton gold, Elon Musk live feed at Fort Knox. Trump saying we're going into Fort Knox. You know what that means? He's on the airplane to the reporter. We're going into Fort Knox. You know what that means, don't you? That's a big thing. He's like, oh my God. Trump is like literally telling everyone, signaling that this is the golden era here. So I think back to what you just talked about and that video there, I think this is absolutely staged. And the one thing we're going to see now is bringing the market down, bringing 401ks down. Trump is going to capitalize on that and what's going to work best for his goals, for the country, but also for public relations goals. He cannot come into this market and destroy everyone and wipe things out and then just take the knife for it. He's got to scapegoat someone. Well, perfect time to scapegoat who? The biggest shorters in the world. And he's got the RICO lawsuit with Devin Nunes. It's in the cards there. And all of a sudden, if you type in RICO lawsuits, there's all kinds of RICO stuff coming out. Oh, they're getting sued for RICO. So they're really pulling this stuff out here. And even Kash Patel talking about shorting, illegal shorting here. The stage is being set here. And Trump is joking around. Where's Ken Griffin? Where's he? Is he around here somewhere? I saw a roast where he was like, where's Ken Griffin? I was like, they can't find him. So Trump knows Ken Griffin. So this is a big, big deal. But I'm in a complete agreement here. You have to bring that dollar down and then reset it. And then they can float gold from there. So we're going to reset. Let's say we're going to reset gold at $3,300 an ounce. So it's like, how about we reset it to gold and let the free market take the dollar up? Trump, that would be phenomenal. Imagine suddenly you'd have the S&P 500 crushed, Dow crushed, dollar. What's going to happen? Once the Dow stock markets are crushed, they're going to yank out all the dead weight and they're going to replace many components in the indexes with what? With tier one gold assets, which will be tier one based on the BIS, Bank of Basel III, to replace the dead weight in the Dow index. They're going to put gold stocks in there, and then it's going to rise up. And then all of a sudden, Trump, wow, we brought everything back. Good as gold. And your 401ks came back. Why? Because we got rid of all the crap companies that were overpriced and we put real gold in there, real assets to bring up the entire markets. Trump looks like a hero. The shorters are gone. We're good as gold. Judy Shelton gets her way. US dollars, as good as gold. And this is what I see happening. And you can see that this is obviously a script going on. And what the video with Besant saying 4 years ago, Bretton Woods, well, what I just described really is the new Bretton Woods, but it parallels with Russia's backing of the ruble and then the US dollar. And all of a sudden, everyone's on an even plane. And then from there, we won't talk with China. That's going to be a whole nother story over there. I'm not sure how that's going to play out there, but the sanctions with China could go, if it goes nuclear in China, I don't mean this in nuclear war. If it goes nuclear, remember what happened in Russia. Everyone pulled out of Russia, right? And what did Russia do? Your Starbucks is my Starbucks. They just grabbed assets, McDonald's, and said, they're ours. There are 5,000 McDonald's in China. If this thing goes nuclear, Nike, New Balance, all these shoe manufacturers, they make everything in China. It's like, okay, you take China land here in America. We're going to take your companies here. You have 5,000 McDonald's. What are you going to call it? We're going to take it back from America. What are you going to call it? We're going to call it McTrumps, Golden Arches in China. This thing with China can go absolutely nuclear here, but that's another topic there for discussion. But back to what you're saying here, I do believe Trump is absolutely driving the dollar down, and rightfully so here. And it makes total sense. And obviously, Scott Bessent said it 4 years ago. He said exactly what is happening right now. The entire Bretton Woods system is being reset, redone, and like he used the term reordered, which means they're taking the current financial order and we're gonna move it around here, mess up your hair, 52 card pickup, and then boom, we're gonna be gold backed again. And it goes back to, I think, the most important comment that Trump made. We cannot lose global reserve status. That would be like losing World War II. So there's a lot there.
Yeah, of course. So I pulled up a thread that I want to read through a little bit of this because it gives so much good context. And I'm pretty sure that you and I covered this exact thread the last show that we did on this. So because, talking about Scott Bessent coming out here saying that, okay, we're entering into there's going to be a new global order, right? Financial order. So I'm going to read through this. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I'll kind of skim through what's going on here. He says, this is from Jack Mollers. He said, we're witnessing the unwind of the World War II economic order. What's happening now is much bigger than tariffs. For nearly 80 years, the U.S. exported dollars while importing goods in debt. The system is failing. After World War II, the world was decimated. The U.S. was the only industrial power left standing. Europe and Japan were in ruins. The world needed to rebuild, and the U.S. took the lead. How? The U.S. funded global reconstruction with efforts like the Marshall Plan and Bretton Woods. Okay, so keep in mind that when Bessent's saying we're going to have a new Bretton Woods, the idea was simple. The U.S. would buy foreign goods, run trade deficits, send dollars abroad, and let other countries produce stuff. In return, other countries would use the dollar as a global reserve currency, accumulating U.S. debt as their savings. In essence, the world gets dollars, the U.S. gets goods. Continuing on here. The system did what it was supposed to do and fueled decades of global growth. Japan, Germany, South Korea, and eventually China all industrialized by producing goods for Americans. The U.S. kept printing dollars and the world kept accepting them because they sort of had no choice. The issue was this was not sustainable. Printing pieces of paper and not doing any real work couldn't last forever. The U.S. was sending dollars out while manufacturing left the country. Over time, the U.S. became a consumer, not a producer. In summary, the problem is the U.S. can't run permanent trade deficits forever. The U.S. deindustrialized itself, manufacturing jobs gone, middle class crushed. Meanwhile, China rose by taking over global production. All the while, the U.S. racked up 35 plus trillion in debt, and other nations began to question the system. Why hold U.S. debt as a reserve while the USD loses value? This is where the Triffin dilemma comes in. If the U.S. dollar is the global reserve, the U.S. must run deficits to supply the world with dollars. But doing this hollows out the domestic economy, forcing the U.S. to import more than it exports. The global demand for dollars keeps the dollar artificially strong, making U.S. goods less competitive and pushing manufacturing overseas. It's a trap, and it's failing. This is why the U.S. needs to reshore production and weaken the dollar. If the U.S. wants to bring back manufacturing, it needs to make American production competitive again. This means two things. Tariffs force companies to stop offshoring production, a weaker dollar, make U.S. exports cheaper and more attractive. This is exactly what the Trump and the new administration is pushing for. He says, you see, tariffs aren't just about trade. They're part of a larger strategy to shift the U.S. economic model. A weaker dollar makes U.S. exports more competitive and also helps inflate away its debt. Okay, and it gets into some stuff with Powell and cutting rates. You're talking about how Trump needs to lower rates because it benefits real estate debtors and economic growth. How he's going to have to force Powell's hand. Okay, so basically, I think that this does a really good summary. It says, at the same time, it's no secret the rest of the world is moving away from the dollar. China, Russia, even Saudi Arabia no longer want to rely on the USD for trade. The BRICS nations are exploring alternatives. Countries are selling U.S. treasuries and reducing their dollar reserves. So this basically, I think, he says, okay, he's zooming out. We're watching the global monetary reset in real time. The World War II economic model is breaking down. The U.S. is reshoring and weakening the dollar. The world is de-dollarizing. The Fed will be forced to cut rates. The U.S. will inflate away its debt. Okay, so this I think is I ran through it quickly, but that really helps to reframe what's happening. But there's one other thing as part of this that I think is a really important key. And I'm not sure if you listened to the interview that I did with David Jensen.
I got part of it. I like David Jensen. Very intelligent guy.
So I'll make sure I send it to you after we finish, because I should listen to it again. So what David Jensen was explaining, and this was so profound. I think this is actually underlying so much of what we're seeing, is getting into the LBMA. Okay, so what he said is in 71, when Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, and they just started printing more and more dollars, what happened is because they started inflating the dollar, the price of gold and silver started skyrocketing. Okay, so I have a chart here. Let me actually see if I'll pull up a chart just to give us a good reference to this. Okay, so here we have, so here's a chart of, this is the gold price. And you can see right here in the early 70s, this is 73, this as far back as this goes, where gold was at $83 an ounce. Okay, so what happened here is that once they this is shortly after they took the dollar off the gold standard, you can see that within by 1980, gold was at $691 an ounce. So gold went up almost 10 times over the course of a decade. And so what David Jensen was explaining is that what they realized was that gold and silver were the canary in the coal mine. They were the warning signal to show when the dollar was being overprinted. They were the reflection of true inflation, because if we've increased, like if the dollar right now is worth only 1% of what it was 100 years ago, then you would see likewise that gold and silver as a reflection that would be way higher than what they are. And so what happened was, after they started printing all these dollars, all these people started realizing, wait, the dollar is being inflated. They're printing way too much currency. And these people were moving into gold and silver because they were skyrocketing as a reflection of the increased monetary supply from the overprinting of the dollar. So what happened is that the Bank of England, it's really the banking cartel, they needed a way to suppress the gold and silver prices. So they created the LBMA, which was then given to the Bank of England, the Rothschilds, to have oversight of. And so in the 80s, they created the LBMA, which then allowed them to issue the paper promissory notes for gold and silver. So because gold and silver up until that point were a fixed supply, it was a true fixed commodity, they basically took it and they said, okay, we're going to do the same thing we done with the dollar. We're going to turn it into something that we can create unlimited supply of. So the LBMA was created, which allowed them to flood the market with paper, gold and silver, and therefore suppress the gold and silver prices. And so since the 80s, they've been using the LBMA to manipulate and to heavily suppress gold and silver prices, which is why, gold should be, at $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 an ounce right now, looking at just where the dollar is at, right?
It
Silver
will
should
be.
be, I mean, yeah,
It
silver
will
should
be.
be, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars per ounce. But they use the LBMA to suppress those prices. But what's happening now, as we've seen, right? If you're looking at how the Bank of England went from like a 2 or 3 day delivery, and if you want to call in your physical, to now what, a 4 week, 8 week delivery. So what's happening is that there's been this run on gold and silver, and everyone is again demanding, and that system's breaking, which is why we've now seen gold hit all-time highs of over $3,100 an ounce. And we've also seen silver go up substantially in the past couple of months. So, but what David Jensen explained, others I've been following him explaining, is that right now, though, what's happening, we've seen the news of all this gold and silver coming back into the U.S., like massive amounts of gold and silver being repatriated. Numbers don't lie. The impact that Balance of Nature makes every single day is astounding. You can see the numbers for yourself at their website, balanceofnature.com. So listen to these stats concerning Balance of Nature's worldwide success. More than 1,000 success stories are reported each month. Hundreds of thousands of customers worldwide, millions of orders delivered each year, and billions, yes, billions of fruits and veggie supplements consumed by people who've decided to start living better. There's only one number missing. That's you. Do what I did and add yourself to these numbers. Start taking Balance of Nature's whole food supplements, like so many others around the world. Here's another number that should get your attention, 35%. Use my discount code SETH to get 35% off, plus free shipping and their money-back guarantee. You must use my discount code SETH. So call them at 800-2468-751 and use the discount code SETH, or order online at balanceofnature.com. Use discount code SETH to get 35% off plus free shipping. So what's happening is, while that suppression mechanism is still in place and gold is still at 3,000 an ounce, silver is still hovering around 30, 31, 32 an ounce, all the banking families, the banking cartels, the central banks, they're all scooping up gold and silver and like we've never seen before, because they know that
Last chance to get
they know that
cheap.
everything is breaking, right? And so this is where we're at right now. And so this is what I want to kind of transition. And obviously, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. But it's like right now we look at this gold and silver price. I'll pull this chart back up, and it's like, okay, so silver. Okay, silver took a major hit in the past couple of days. It's down now. It's below $30 an ounce. Gold also took a hit, right? Not as much as silver, but still, it's down compared to what it was. And people are like, oh my gosh, like I had people texting me and saying, Seth, oh my gosh, silver went down. Like, is this bad? And I'm looking at it and thinking, okay, hey, no, I was buying at $34 an ounce. I'll be buying at $29 an ounce, right? Because the bigger picture is that I see there's this, what they're doing is these are last ditch attempts to keep the prices down while they can still buy as they can, because once the system breaks, I think that we're going to see gold and silver hit prices that we've never imagined before, because it's been such a psyop. Anyway, John, I'll let you talk. There's my little soapbox rant though. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. Well, let me add to David Jensen's story here about the paper coming in, the LBMA. That was part one. Listen, no one's going to get this one. I got this one here, nailed it here. The part two to LBMA was Bitcoin, the silver psyop. They ran the operation there. When did they bring in a Bitcoin? The white paper came out when Obama showed up. 2008 is when JP Morgan accelerated their shorting. So as they're accelerating, what they do? They got all this money they were printing that Obama printed like a madman. And what did they do? Bitcoin anonymous. Look, you can't do it. You work in the markets here. It's heavily regulated. And they'll say, well, Bitcoin's unregulated. Oh, really? How is that possible? How can you just run things everywhere, run this stuff up? Because it was part of the operation. Bitcoin was part of the silver psyop. And you're going to see Bitcoin finally it's going to come. It's being reined in right now. As soon as they let go of silver and gold, you're going to see everyone run out of crypto into gold and silver. When they brought in Bitcoin, all of a sudden there's this product. Well, if you bought silver, it ain't going anywhere. And one of the promotions during Bitcoin and crypto was #DropGold. Everyone should look it up. Find out who financed #DropGold. If you're smart and you know how to research, you know who really financed that. Big name out there. And it's connected to Epstein. Okay. So now you go out there, hashtag drop gold came in like, oh yeah, later on as Bitcoin is flying up. And what did they do? Bitcoin and crypto sucked all this printed money out into the etherland. And
look here. There's an ad. Sorry, John. I just found there's literally an ad produced.
It's time to drop gold. Because in a digital world, gold shouldn't weigh down your portfolio. Leave the pack behind. Go digital. Go grayscale.
Actually, there's a whole campaign to get people crazy.
Right.
So Bitcoin and crypto was the LBMA 2.0.
Digitized.
And that's what I thought too, actually, as I've thought about this, is what they've been doing, is because the thing is that it's not about with these things, it's not about what the elites are doing. Like if you look at, historically, they're not putting every cent into Bitcoin. Like the central banks, the big banking families, the Vatican wealth managers, they're putting all their assets into gold and silver. But what they've done is they've convinced the population to put your money into the 401k, put your money into the stock market, put your money into cryptocurrency. That's why in America, I think I saw something recently. If you own 20 ounces of silver, you're in the top 2% of precious metals owning households in America. I think with 20 ounces, like right here, this is a 10-ounce bar. I keep
20 ounces, right?
Yeah. So I'm already in the top, 4% of silver owning Americans because I have a single 20-ounce or 10-ounce bar right here. So that's
amazing.
Because they don't want us, because what they do is they want us to put all of our assets into things that have no real value except what everyone believes the value is. So then they can shake the whole thing up, collapse all those assets, come in, scoop up everything for pennies on the dollar, and go and then just keep going.
Yeah, and back to the sponsors of Drop Gold was propaganda. It was anti-gold propaganda. And so what did Klaus Schwab say? You will own nothing and you'll be happy. Well, guess what? If you own Bitcoin, you own nothing. It's thin air. Trump called it thin air. And I know he hasn't changed his position on that. Thin air, and people own Bitcoin and they're happy until further notice, sooner or later. And Elon, I think, is going to, once they drop the Epstein stuff, we're going to see some activity here in the Bitcoin space where people are going to say, I didn't know that. Of course, I did all these interviews with David Morgan on the silver psyop and the crypto conspiracy. It's like, how did this guy know? It's out in the open. Anybody can see it. Jeffrey Epstein's original interview on Bitcoin, what it is, it's still on Cointelegraph. Type in Epstein, Bitcoin, Cointelegraph. It's still there. And if you read his script there, everybody promoting Bitcoin is quoting Jeffrey Epstein, and nobody wants to talk about this. But they're gonna unload it. You notice we haven't seen the Epstein files yet. Don't worry, it's coming here. Sooner or later, they're gonna have to do something. Either they bury it and cover it up because another country's involved, which we won't mention, and they're gonna have to bury it. Bitcoin bursting with potential. He said it's not a currency, it's a property. If a property is involved with human trafficking, guess what? It becomes an accessory to something else related to Executive Order 13818. Just sit back and watch. Silver and gold are going to the moon. They're real assets here. If you own crypto, you really don't own anything. And people say it's a store of value. Look, a store of value, believe me, they're not going to back the dollar with the Bitcoin. No country in the world is backing anything with Bitcoin. In fact, El Salvador just got rid of it because only 2 or 4% of the country used it here. The central banks are going to add 30% more gold. They're not adding 1% of any crypto. The alt crypto market is crashing. So this is part of that. This is the end of the silver psyop, which is kind of a movie here. Part of it, it was the anti. What it was silver. The silver psyop was the anti drop gold psyop. At the end, people are going to say, "This is so funny. Silver took off and crypto went down." I've been telling people for the longest time. Back to David Jensen. The silver psyop, the crypto conspiracy, was to suck money out of the system, get people into something that would make them happy, worth nothing, anonymously built, connected to Epstein, while they get all. That's what you do it. Hey, everyone, go look over there while we take all the gold. And how much gold was purchased by the central banks from 2008 to up to now? I mean, they bought everything. They bought so much gold here. And now with all this gold coming in here right now, repatriating, I think the government's probably going to seize it, get some, or maybe they're buying some. We're going to see this change, and Trump knows when they reset, sooner or later, if you're going to be a currency of some sort, you're going to have to live up to those Basel III regulations here. And that's going to be an issue down the road here. And Trump, you can see it, Trump is actually taking the United States and actually positioning the United States to actually meet the Basel III standards. Because right now, the dollar's backed by nothing. It's a fiat. It's a Ponzi scheme. Well, how about we put gold behind it? It's like, oh, well, what did you just do? Well, we just magically did the right thing. Well, if we do it, it seems like every other currency or crypto should probably do something there. Okay, everyone, pull down your pants. What do you have your assets? Even Tether owns gold. If you look at their audit, even they own a percentage of precious metals. And there's a gold Tether out there. I don't own it. I don't buy it. Not promoting it. But even they, when I went through the audit at Tether, which was a management prepared audit, they own a percentage of gold here. And they have a role to play down the road. But again, back to David Jensen's story about the LBMA, Bitcoin, the silver slab, and hashtag drop gold. That was the second phase. They had to get more people out. And people, look, the entire generation, like you said, 20 ounces of gold makes you 1%. In our silver gold stock club, it's required. You need to own 1,000 ounces of physical in your position to join my club. Why? Because then I know you're real. Why? If gold goes to $1,000 an ounce, you're a millionaire.
Silver.
If you got a bunch of money in the stock market, we get 7x, 10x, 20x on our money coming in.
You mean silver? You say gold. If gold goes to 1,000,
silver.
Silver. Yeah.
Correct me there. 1,000 ounces of silver, and you got that. That's your economic body armor. Having 1,000 ounces of silver. The stock market, we speculate there. Well, I went through this last market, bull market. I made people millionaires in the silver and gold stock market here, and it was a total no-brainer. It took off like a rocket based on the chart you just showed. Soon as the market decoupled in February 2009, gold went off to the races and silver went up to $50. The stocks just roared along with physical. And so you look at the situation right now. We have this is, to me, is like, I did this last time. This time I'm ready. We came in this market here. We were absolutely ready. But to think 2 weeks ago, Trump put out an executive order promoting rare earth and critical mineral mining. We're all in. Like, let's go, baby. National security executive order promoting our sector. Yes, I'm all like 100% Trump. Get that gold in there. Drop that dollar. Emergency rate cut coming here real soon. I see Powell here. He's either going to be forced to cut rates, do an emergency rate cut, or Trump could executive order, drop the rates, discredit the Federal Reserve, discredit Powell, take the credit, save the economy here at a certain time. But until that happens, we have to see more pain in the 401k until people scream for something, and then Trump cannot, do the whole Hegelian dialect thing, problem, reaction, solution, Superman, Trump, fix it. Let's put gold in there. It's going to be a dynamic market. And as a speculator in the markets here, I looked at every different scenario I could, adding all this stuff here. And it was pretty clear that this was a scripted outcome here. And, even though the markets pull back and we have both equities and gold stocks going down, eventually it's going to snap. Dow will keep going down. And then the gold and silver equities and junior mining stocks and mining stocks, they will go up. In fact, yesterday morning, the last 2 days in the market, the Dow Jones in the futures market, minus 900, minus 1100. I go, oh, this is just great. Bring it down. I want to see that reset. Let's go to that Dow 1-to-1 ratio. As it's going down, I'm watching in the futures market overnight certain stocks, which I call my Cabal Mining Index. And I'm looking, I said, holy crap, look at all the money pouring into these stocks. And right before the market opens, boom, they turn red. I go, well, they're hiding something here. I'm not going to say a word here, but I'll tell you what, we're pumped up. We're excited. I like it. Look at all the stocks here. The Dow Jones is down, futures down 1,000 points. And I have my little thing called the Cabal. They're all, money is just pouring in. And I thought, okay, that's just what I want to see here. Oh yeah, you go buy Bitcoin while we buy the gold mining stocks. You do this because that is what's going to happen. Again, you look at Basel III, whether people believe in it or not, you have to have gold as an asset to back your loans. Trump is going to tokenize United States commodities assets to back the United States. And that's why he said, we are going to make America wealthy again. We're going to have so much money. You're not going to believe it. I believe him 1,000,000%. He said, we're going to win so much. We're going to keep on winning. We're going to win. If I would do the same thing. He's basically just going to tokenize all the underground assets in America, which America has always been kind of like, let's exploit everybody else's minerals except ours, and we'll just leave it in the ground. Strategic Metals Act, like 1938, shut down all the gold mine assets. There have been mining projects I've been on where there's piles and piles of gold ore everywhere, billions. I'm like, how can this stuff be sitting there? Like, well, it was shut down in 1938 and never mind again. Why? Because of all the laws, EIR, California. There's so much gold in California. It's like the Golden State. There's so much gold out here just sitting out there, right? A couple hours away. I'm like, I know where billions are at. And they're going to mine that stuff again. And Trump knows he's going to make California great again, open up the oil rights off the shore of California, open up mining. He got rid of the EIR reports, the environmental impact stuff, all the environmental wackos, stopping mining. That's gone. Executive order. We're coming into the golden era. He said the golden era. It's going to happen, and people are going to become millionaires. They're going to be rich in the mining stock sector, and we're going to be tip of the spear there. We planned this. We were ready for it, and we are pumped up for it. So, yeah, I think it's a perfect world right now. For me, what I see Trump doing, yes, keep going here because it's going exactly as I thought it would go. And again, too, one more piece. I talked about this with Mario at Monaco. I said, the euro will cease to exist. Just like in World War II, Europe was in ruins. This time, the euro will be in ruins. It'll be gone, and Trump will have to come in there and do something and save Europe, just like Patton did, and created the Marshall Plan. This will be an economic Marshall Plan, and Trump's going to have to step in and save Europe because they're disintegrating. EU's gone. NATO's going to disintegrate. They want to go to war with Russia. Are you kidding me? You want to go to war with Russia? And Vladimir Putin's like, look, we got these little chihuahuas barking, biting our ankles over here while they're just destroying everything. And from the NATO armies that are coming into Ukraine, because many of these soldiers are foreign soldiers, mercenaries, NATO military people. Europe wants to go to war with Russia. Are you kidding me? Their economy's falling apart. They all disagree. The euro is going to disintegrate. And in my opinion, this is crazy. It's out there. I believe Trump's going to insert the US dollar into a future Trump Marshall economic plan. Very similar to when Patton came across Europe, Trump's going to be coming across Europe and fixing what's happening in Europe. And it's kind of payback though, too, because a lot of these rich families that took that gold and silver, they're from Europe. So that's why see all this gold coming back from Europe here back to the United States. I don't think it was randomly recent. Like, well, it's time to go back. I think Trump seized most of this gold on paper back in 2018, 2019, when the U.S. military was out seizing gold and bringing it back 2018, 2009. I think what we see now is just the optics of the movie script here. But it's going to play out. I think it's going to play out perfect. This market crash right here, NASDAQ down 5.8%, 962 points. We still have a long way to go here. But next, I think, is looking for the decoupling. I don't think there's anything more exciting than to see, we're watching history, the shift, what Scott Bessent was saying, the Tiffin effect, all that is happening right now. But it's happening in such a big way in slow motion that it's hard to see what's really happening. Sometimes we see a stock going down or a Dow Jones or this one. The reality is the entire glacier is being turned upside down to where, at the pyramid is being turned upside down. And the tip of that pyramid going down is going to be silver and gold and hard assets. That's why Trump, when he's flashing his signs, he's flashing an upside down pyramid. What he's really saying, silver and gold will be the tip of the spear in the pyramid. That'll be the basis of things upside down. It's kind of like the food pyramid. I wouldn't eat the food pyramid. Yeah, it's all wrong. Just like the economic pyramid, it's all wrong there too. They're going to take the eye, turn it upside down here, and put assets to back the dollar. And again, Trump's going to win the World War in economics here by putting gold behind the dollar here.
So
he took. Yeah.
I wanted to say really quickly is that one thing that really stuck with me from my interview with David Jensen is he was describing how the elites do things to basically steal the hard assets. And we said is what they do is they have this cycle, very simple: inflate, collapse, acquire. That's what it is. They take something,
yes,
they inflate the value. All of the average people think, oh my gosh, look at the housing, look at the market, look, the stock market's going up, Bitcoin's going up. real estate's going up. They're putting all their assets into these inflated assets. So they inflate. It becomes this huge bubble. Then they collapse the whole thing, right? We saw after 2008, they collapse everything. Then they go back in for pennies on the dollar, often as using our own tax money
Yes.
to then acquire, right? Inflate, collapse, acquire. They keep, wash, rinse, and repeat. But one thing I wanted to go, as we're kind of rounding out our discussion here, I want to pull up these historical gold and silver charts. So I want to look at what happened in 2008, because I believe that there's a good chance that we'll see over the next couple of weeks, months or so, we might see gold and silver drop another 5, 10%, 15%, whatever. But I want to go over this because I know you were in these markets at that time, and tell people not to freak out. Okay, so if you look at what happened in 2008, okay, silver was at $18 an ounce. Sorry, right here, $19.18 an ounce in March 2008. All right, so by January 2009, or no, December 2008, silver had lost half its value. Now, I bet there's a lot of people in this little movement right here. There's a lot of people that sold all their silver. They thought, oh my gosh, it's going to go to nothing. But then look what happened after that. It hits the bottom, and then what you see, right, by 2000, right here, by 2011, early 2011. So from basically this is 2.5 years, silver went from $9 an ounce to $40 an ounce, right? So what, over four times its value. So for all the people right now, like let's just say silver goes back down to $20 an ounce. Let's just say in 2 months, silver's at $20 an ounce. Don't sell your silver. Don't freak out. And this is my own advice to myself. And I know that you're in the same boat as me. It's actually the opposite. Buy, right? Because what's going to happen is as soon as it hits that bottom, you're going to see the stock market. It's going to keep dropping down, right? It's not going to recover like this. But I think what you're going to see, and this is still like, $40 an ounce is still within the LBMA paper market controlled manipulated system. That was within that. So what we could be seeing is something entirely different. So what is your advice to people that are looking at silver dropping? Oh my gosh, is it $29 an ounce? I just bought all this silver at $33 an ounce. Or freaking out. What is your advice then? Because you were in precious metals during 2008.
Yeah, well, to a little context here, I was managing 20 million in just 85% silver in 2006 and 2007 full time. So I know the silver market. I've moved tens of millions of dollars of physical silver. And when I left the physical markets, I went into the precious metals, primarily silver stock market here. But I kept all my physical clients went with me. And when that market came down, because my physical people, we had experience. So we knew, we're like, it's going down. Let's see how far they go down. Went all the way down to like 995, 998. And at about 10, when it came back over 10, I said, let's go back in right now. And that's when we really started accumulating mining stocks right at that bottom there. And I'll tell you what, on the way down, I probably 30% of the people I work with, the experienced people, they just wrote it down. The people with no experience, like, they sold it. I said, don't do it. And sure enough, it bottomed. When it bottoms, it is not this kind of V. It's like this kind of V. It's like boom, boom. And then, of course, everyone called, John, what's happening? It's like, well, what do you think's happening here? What else? It's real metal, man. It's real silver. You got blown out but the COMEX people are mind screwing you with that price. They know as long as you see red, you stare at that screen, you will be poltergeisted. That's like you'll be that movie Poltergeist. You're staring at the screen long enough, and like, they're back. Well, look at the silver prices going down. So they're back. They never left. They're going to bring that thing down until you break. And then when you break, they'll be there laughing. You saw the fines that JP Morgan played. They did play this as a game. You're just a pleb out there staring at the screen like you're hanging on, hoping you can change things. But it's a fundamental. You got to focus on the fundamentals here. Silver is a precious metals. Silver is a manipulated. And they want the silver for themselves. If deflate it, they took all the, it's like Vegas. Everyone rolls their dice on the craps table. Everybody loses. Here comes the big stick. Oh, and that was the silver when it bottomed there at $9. And then they ran it back up. Okay, place your bets. Money comes back on the table and they run it back up and roll the dice. If you blew out, you took your money, you left the table, you missed out on the biggest run, And I'll tell you, it was that when I was in that, I remember staring at the screen. I had all my multi screens going on here, and I had my silver positions and I had my gold positions, but I had my stock positions too. And as everything started going, I said, "Look at silver go take off," and gold went up. I think it was in February 2008. Gold went up like 190 bucks, like in one day. I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go, 190. It took off. And then I'm watching the stock equities here, and I see some stocks still going down, but I see the gold stock starting to vibrate. I said, here comes the popcorn machine here. All of a sudden, they start popping, and people were saying, what's going on, John? The stock's still going down. Not all stocks, my friend. Don't worry about the people that you cannot see, the principalities and powers of the air. You think they're worried about? No, they're buying everything here. The central banks are buying. And what else is happening? 2008, the white paper for Bitcoin came out. 2008, drop gold, buy Bitcoin. Why? Because we're buying all that cheap silver at $9. These people realize there's a whole nother world out there. People running the world. There's a whole nother, there's a whole nother set of rules out there that are not for the human race. So they're up there. They love the history, and backing of gold. Well, they bought it. Well, we were all in. And when that market finally broke, I was on the phone with all my people. Guess what, you guys? Gold just popped up, 190 bucks here. Silver and gold are bounced up here. We're going up. We're on our way up. Our gold stocks are starting to move here. And by the end of September, August, a couple of people, we picked some stocks that were up 10,000%, 12,000, 16,000%. It was at this point, it was like, we did it. I told you. And the metals are going up. And I had people calling me saying, John, what's happening? It's like, what do you mean what's happening? Are you kidding me? I told you this was going to happen, but you had to hang on. You sold, you're out of the game. You're done. Goodbye. It's like you were ready to get married and you walked off the altar right when they were going to go out there and make, solidify the marriage. You have to stick with silver and gold because, this is like, gold and silver are mentioned in the Bible over 400 times. There's a reason for that. Don't let it go. There's a reason why the Ark of the Covenant is described in being bait and gold. You don't sell that when they're printing all this money here. But the problem is that a lot of times people are reacting to the price they see on the screen versus focusing on the fundamentals. When you buy your physical gold, just buy it and bury it and forget about it. Don't be looking at the screen, worrying about your gold and silver. Just buy it and bury it, forget it. It will reprice, like Basant said. And when it happens and you're holding on to it, you're going to feel so good. You're going to feel so good. And you want to play the stock market and have some fun. You're going to feel really good over there. If you're doing them both properly and balanced out, you're going to do just fine. And this market here, they're going to shake out the loose hands. They're going to shake out the unbelievers. They're going to shake out everybody who doesn't believe in gold and silver. They're going to shake them out. They're going to take all the cards and then run it back up here. And everything I talked about earlier will be executed. And you and I will be on here I'll say, well, Seth, we tried to tell them, they didn't listen. You never let go of your silver and gold, especially now, because this is when they really get it. Anyone who bought gold and silver over the last 2 years who just kind of bought it because they thought I should protect myself, but they don't have that real foundational belief as to why they're buying it, they're gonna be struggling. And I get it. I understand the struggle. It's very difficult to focus on buying more things as it's going down. And in our group, many of our stocks took huge nosedives, but we're experienced. We knew to buy the dip, and we have 100% track record. We learned one thing in the last 3 years: if it goes down, guess what? It always comes back and goes up. And in this case, the central banks are projected to buy 30% more gold. We have Basel III, we have Trump, we have Judy Shelton. I mean, this is almost like taking candy from babies, Well, that's what they're doing, but they're taking their silver from babies, and the smart money is going to come in and buy that stuff up here. Very, very difficult, though, if you're not focused on the fundamentals. You really, really have to have that foundational piece. If you're focusing just on price action, it's gonna make you emotional. You're gonna cry. If you say buy it, he said buy it, bury it, and forget it. Like a dog, get your bone, dig a hole, bury it, and forget about it. Like a pirate ship. Here's the treasure chest. We're gonna go bury it. They don't go. Let's go see the price of gold here on the markets here. We better go dig that treasure chest up and sell it. No, they're gonna leave it there because the only real store of value that's real is gold and silver. And that's why Fort Knox The gold that's in Fort Knox it's a store of value, but it needs to be repriced, or as Basent said, reordered at a new price to go on the balance sheets of the U.S. Treasury here. And if they let it run with the gold price, well, we're going to be going up, up, and away. And as you described here, the debt coming down lower and lower, they can refinance that debt at a lower interest rate. And that gives Trump some breathing room to get what? What did he say? He's got all these executive orders in the mining sector. The mining stocks will be the new components of the S&P, the Dow Jones, and other indexes. And as I said in one of my videos, silver and gold mining stocks, primarily exploration, junior mining stocks, they will be the new crypto. And this will be the reverse. The end of the silver psyop is that Bitcoin and crypto end, and then gold and silver take over in the golden era here. And that's exactly what I see happening here. And I'm going to make millionaires out of people. I'm going to make a lot of millionaires here, and it's going to be fun. It has been fun. 3 years of just having so much fun doing this. It's been, a ton of fun, but that's what I see coming here. It's pretty clear. This is my 18th year in the business, 18 years. It's like people ask us, what do you say? Well, I've been doing this for so long. I can read their minds up there. I know what they're going to do. Why? It's an expensive rocks. The central banks want it. They don't want you to have it. They want the gold stocks. Why? Because everybody wants the next home stake mining. 56,000% for home stake mining during the last depression. Last time, 1929. If you bought home stake mining, you didn't care. Why? Because home stake just went up for year end and year out, and people got rich off that. And it's actually one of my oldest clients actually had home stake. I was like, you gotta be kidding. Everyone should research home stake mining. Go back and look at home stake mining, what that did between 1929 and I believe 1955, all the way until Barrick Mining bought home stake. They'd hide that thing. No, get rid of home stake. Why? Look at the chart. The damn stock made 50-something thousand%. We don't want people buying this. Buy it and bury that company here. Everybody should research home stake mining. And that stock is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that, And what happened? Home stake went up. What did they do? They seized your gold. They took your gold in 1933, and you had no gold. But if you own home stake mining stock, you got rich. That's going to happen again, my friend. And that's exactly what's going to happen. And it's going to be great. It's going to be a hell of a ride.
So, John, in conclusion, right there you go. I know you have your Telegram group. What's your website? People can find you at?
I have a new website. It's realjohnfperez.com. Okay. And I'm on all the social media. We're booming our social Instagram, Real John F. Perez, TikTok, Real John F. Perez, Instagram, TikTok, super, super active on there. There's Silver Gold Stock. It's a private subscription group here. And we have hundreds of members there that have been with me for 3 years, highly educated. I broadcast throughout the day just like this. I never stop. I never rest. Well, I love what I do, number one, but I know what's happening. I know the script. I know what's going to happen unfolding here. We are ready to go. We are ready to make money. We prepared for this crash. We know exactly what's going to go here. And it's a strategic and tactical move here. And this is a combined 18 years of my experience here. And now it's coming together right here. This is my entire career right here. The number one goal here in the beginning was all about me. And now it's going to be all about everyone that I affected. And I've been very clear with my people. I'm going to make hundreds of people millionaires. I did this in the last market with a few people. This time I took that same plan, tweaked it using social media, because social media wasn't around in 2008. Now we got massive firepower here to really communicate things. And because of social media, the velocity of information that's going to be out there for the public to buy is 100 times greater because of social media. People are responding quickly here. So I see these moves in the markets, in stocks, gold and silver. They're going to be violent to the upside. You just put up that screen where gold went down, silver went down to 995, then took off. This time it's going to go straight up and then straight down and then straight up even quicker. Why? Because you have a new generation. The alternative crypto markets are crashing. Bitcoin's kind of sitting still. We don't know where it's going to go. Can it be regulated worse? It can be regulated. But the bottom line is this. Those people who go look at the price of gold when they ran that propaganda called hashtag drop gold. Gold has doubled since they put out the propaganda hashtag drop gold. They were wrong. If you took advantage of that. But John, you bought Bitcoin, you made money. Well, let's see how that unrolls out when all the Epstein files come out. We'll see how that goes. But either way, though, social media has a big impact this time around, which we didn't have. I'm on Telegram. I broadcast probably 20, 30 times a day. I give the play by play what's going on, and I go into deep dives. It's education. It's hardcore education. I give people what I know. And I'm very transparent. I don't hold back too. It's uncensored. It's fun. That's what I love about Telegram. It's great here. And you know what? We're good to go. We're good to go with tens of millions in the market here. We're absolutely stoked, pumped up, excited about what's to happen here. This is the most exciting period in time in history to ever be involved with these markets here. And we're ready for it. And this is, my career coming together here. I've always been in this business to make people money. I'm not just an analyst who responds and reacts to the news. I plan, and then I put together investable intelligence for the future. And now, boom, a lot of these predictions are coming together here, literally just every day. Boom, another one. And I document these things, and the group knows it because I have a little library there. And they go back and say, wow, this is coming true. This is coming true. This is just sit back and watch, you guys. If Trump resets gold to 10,000, 15,000, it'll be a matter of months here. There'll be millionaires everywhere here because we are in the right place at the right time. And you have the right guy here. It's a strategic plan. It is a tactical plan. And it is based on the powers that be switching into the gold and silver market. Because it really, at the end of the day, it's the powers that be. It's like the Rothschild said, he who owns the gold makes the rules. Well, Trump is going to come out and say, we got the gold. China's going to say, we got gold too. And it's all going to switch over.
Exactly. Well, John, it's been fun as expected. Thank you for giving me your time. It's fun doing a weekend show with you too. More relaxed. I love speaking with you. I always leave I'm just pumped. I'm gonna go like chop some wood and chase some chickens around and have some. I hear your rooster in the background. But again, thank you, John. I'll make sure I put all your links in the description, and we'll do this in a month or so again, and we'll see where things are at then.
Oh yeah,
it's great. Well, thank you again for all your time and your wisdom.
You're welcome. Thank you, and thank you all your audience, everything here, and a lot of probably 90% of my people follow this show and are watching right now, so they love the show. Everyone loves the vibe here, so thank you so much, Seth. And I appreciate you having me on.
Of course. Here, hold up your bar too. Let me see what you got sitting on your desk there.
Oh, I have a Valcambi kilo bar. This is a Valcambi kilo bar, 1 kilo of silver. And beautiful. What's funny? It's funny. This is on the topic of silver. When I first started my show, the price to come in was like the subscription was $600, and I said, if you guys want to pay in silver, fine, pay in silver. You know what? Silver has doubled, so like your subscription fee has been reduced by 40-45%. Why? Because the power of your silver now. Like, I'm getting less silver now. It's like, no more silver. It's like, so I tell people, it's like, well, I did the math on this. What all these math people, and I said, I'm actually giving you less silver. I'm actually paying you less, and I'm making more. It's like, well, welcome to my world, man. It's like, where here you lose weight, you fast, you lose weight, and you make money and have a good time. That's the name of the game here. So yeah, this was a gift. Nice gift. Beautiful bar. I had never had a Valcambi bar, but these Valcambis, they are just beautiful. Come on, focus. Ooh, there we go. Valcambi Suisse, 1 kilogram silver. Beautiful bar. I sit here sometimes when I'm working. I have a little cotton cloth. I just sit here and polish it. I'm working.
The same thing on my desk.
There's something about silver. Well, it's that's a whole nother show. The benefits of silver, the antibiotic. There's so much to it. I sleep with a 10-ounce bar under my pillow. I do.
I believe it.
Scottsdale mint bar. It's like, is it still there? It's still there. It's gathering all that good energy, and
I believe it.
So no, I really do. I sleep with a 10-ounce silver bar under my pillow. No, I don't put one in my pants though. So anyhow, kilo at the desk, 10-ounce under the pillow. That's silver is a I think everyone should go to Bible.com and type in silver and just read all the different Bible verses connected to silver. You'll wake up. If you were out there, you're buying silver as an investment and you're staring at the screen worrying about the price going up and down, go to Just stop looking at the screen, go to Bible.com, type in silver and just read. And I'm telling you, your eyes will open up in a different way. You'll say, wow, I never thought about that. And I recommend it to everyone. So you get a proper foundational view of how silver is viewed at from a biblical perspective. It changes your view from staring at the screen. The price is going up, the price is going down. Who cares? Just get the silver. Why? Because look at the importance of it here. But if it's talked about so much, why is the price not going down? Well, the devil's in the details, fooling you and wanting you to get rid of that good silver here. So to keep the price down. Well, silver's a horrible investment. It's not going anywhere. You know why? Well, what if I was the devil? What I do? I'd suppress the price too. Why? So you guys would let it go. Here's have some fake crypto, have some fake thin air. I believe there's a use for crypto and silver tokenization. I'm all for that. Tokenizing what I do here, I'm all in on that tokenization for crypto. But silver, to me, I think everyone should go to Bible.com, type in silver and read and mark my words. You will not look at silver the same way you have all your life. You really will look at it differently, and you'll have a proper perspective on how you view silver.
Well, John,
ta-da, amen.
Thank you. There we go.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, man. So I hope that you enjoyed that interview. I told you it was going to be fun and high energy. I absolutely love interviewing John Perez. That guy's like just a whole other kind of person. He's phenomenal, and he's just so excitable and high energy, but he knows his stuff. I mean, a lot of things that we're seeing happen now, he was talking about 2, 3, 4 years ago. So he's a wicked smart guy, and I'm very thankful to call him a friend. But I wanted to say that, look, if you are considering moving some of your assets out of the stock market into precious metals, I don't blame you. I would try to get ahead of it. Again, this is not financial advice. Do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor. This is just what I'm doing, my approach. I really believe that right now, even if we see silver and gold continue to drop a little bit, it's a buyer's market, honestly. And right now, I would rather be in this chunk of metal right here than in any stock, in any crypto, in any bond. That's just my personal opinion on it. Now, if you are looking for a place that you can trust, like I would tell you, there are a lot of fraudulent places that will sell you gold and silver at inflated prices. Sometimes they'll sell you it's fake. They've got tungsten or some other metal inside of it. So if you're buying from a local coin shop or a pawn shop, please be very, very wary, because there's really good fakes that even seasoned people have a hard time detecting. But also I'm seeing a lot of people that are going to these bigger, doing the IRA transfers and stuff. You look at their receipts and they're, buying $1 million worth of silver for $3 million. I mean, they're being completely ripped off. So if you have someone that you trust, that you work with, great. If you don't, if you're looking for a company that you can work with, I've vetted a ton of different companies, and trust me, I've had so many gold and silver companies like banging down my door to work with me, and I'm so careful. So I work with Noble Gold. I trust them completely. I know the CEO, Colin Plume, extremely well. They're straight shooters. They're not cheap, right? They're fair. Like if someone's selling you gold and silver for cheap, it's a problem, right? Because it's a commodity. So you can expect to pay a little bit over the spot price, and that's it, right? So if someone's selling you something that's 5% below spot or everything, run as far as you can go. But again, if you're looking for someone that you can trust, and also Noble Gold, they specialize in 401k IRA transfers and allowing you to move your assets out of the stock market, out of bonds, out of those other investment vehicles, and move them into precious metals without getting all the heavy fees. Noble Gold is the best in the business. So if you want to learn more, go to goldwithseth.com. Again, it's goldwithseth.com, or you can just call 626-654-1906. Start there, call them, ask questions, ask about the prices, ask about the process. They'll walk you through everything. And all the information for that will also be in the show description. All right, take care and God bless.